Well, hello. I am Jenna McFarland, and we're at the Calgary Wildlife Rehabilitation Society, and I am the animal care manager here. I take care of all the animals in the facility. It's a little sharp-shinned hawk. We get lots of these at this season. These guys tend to fly into windows and to the side of buildings, and that's exactly what happened to this guy. They knocked themselves out. But the nice thing about these guys is they're very lightweight and they don't get up to really high speeds. So when they hit windows, they don't tend to fracture things very easily. This guy has no fractures, just a little bell ringing happening there. So he'll do really well. We'll just keep him here, feed him up for a few days, make sure all that swelling's gone down, and then he'll be released. The red tree squirrels are a species of tree squirrel. They're more closely related to chipmunks than to squirrels, and they're actually our native species here in Alberta. So whereas the eastern gray squirrels, so all the black, gray, and brown, are actually an invasive species, the red tree squirrels are our special native guys. So we tend to have a warm place in our hearts for them because we want them to do as well as possible. Because they are smaller and more aggressive, they tend to start fights with a lot of the eastern grays, and they tend to lose those fights. They hold pretty big territories, so they're kind of being run out of town. We end up seeing them a lot in Banff and Canmore and in those communities. So we like to get them in here. We want to keep the population in Calgary pretty strong. This little guy came from Bridgeland. He was just found on a road. A lot of the time these young guys get kind of picked out of their nests by crows or fall out in windstorms, so we tend to see them on the ground. So he's about 5 weeks old, and these guys develop really fast, so he'll be ready to go in a few weeks too. So we've got this beautiful female ferruginous hawk here. It's on the species of concern list, on the endangered list for Alberta this year. She came to us with signs of head trauma, so it seems as though she was probably clipped by a car, but no broken bones, just some pretty severe head trauma, and she had a bit of a shoulder droop, but turned out to only be soft tissue damage and no skeletal damage, so that's really great. So she's been here for about 2 weeks, and she's ready to be released today. So it's always nice to be adding big juvenile females into the breeding population here, so we can keep it nice and strong. So that's the plan for ferruginous hawk. Well, the ferruginous hawk is Alberta's largest species of true hawk. So it's really kind of a special bird. People don't really see them as often as the rest of the hawks, redtails and swainsons that we see around here. And when people do see them, they don't often recognize them as something different. They also have this really interesting stretched out gape on their face. So they have kind of what looks like a yellow frown, which makes them look a lot crankier than they really are. But they're really kind of a unique bird. But they are a big, beautiful bird with really nice light coloring on their underside. So hopefully bird watchers out there can see their beautiful wingspan soaring around. But yeah, with a really good eye, you can definitely differentiate them from the red-tailed hawks. Sometimes it's hard for us to even tell them apart until we see that clown frown. It's a minute-to-minute, day-to-day sort of operation here. Of course, with the downturn in the economy, we certainly are hurting for funds, and we don't get anywhere near the amount of donations that we would like to get in order to maintain our operations. We run on a budget that's about $325,000 a year, which most people would be shocked to know that that's the money that we spend here. Very low budget, but we do very good work on that budget. We're kind of used to working within those confines. It would be very nice if we could hire more staff and get more modern equipment and do some upgrades to our facility, but at this point we just want to stick to our mandate and just help the wildlife that's in need here. So